My friends, the Pentagon has just made a decision that put Beijing on high alert. While the whole world is watching Ukraine and the Middle East, a silent, lethal, and frightening operation has begun behind the scenes of the United States Air Force. And the detail that almost no one noticed is that this decision directly hits the heart of Chinese pride: their brand new aircraft carrier strike groups. Behind the scenes, the information circulating is that the Americans have decided to resurrect a predator from the Cold War. They took the B-1B Lancer bomber, an aircraft that many considered outdated, and gave it a new role: a ship-killing role. And if this is confirmed in practice, the consequences are enormous. First, because the first day of a war in the Pacific changes completely. Second, because China's entire coastal defense strategy, which cost billions, could simply collapse. Because in the end, what's at stake here is something much bigger: the absolute control of the largest ocean on the planet. And that's where the story reveals who's really in control of the geopolitical chessboard. And what I'm about to reveal to you now is the anatomy of a power shift. On July 2nd at Dice Air Force Base in Texas, American military technicians did something that made strategists in Beijing lose sleep. They validated the integration of the AGM-158C LRASM missile into the B-1B Lancer heavy bomber. You might be thinking, but Shimon Oliveira, it's just another missile on an old plane. And that's exactly where the world gets it wrong. The B-1B, known by pilots as the Bone, has just received new claws. We're not talking about a routine patrol. We're talking about a ship-destroying capability that redefines what maritime combat means in the 21st century. Imagine the brand new Chinese aircraft carrier, the Chinese Type 003 Fujian, Xi Jinping's crown jewel. A mountain of steel that represents China's projection of power. Now put those aircraft carriers in the crosshairs of a bomber that was designed to invade Soviet airspace, carrying nuclear weapons. What the United States Air Force did was create what we will call here the supersonic sledgehammer. Remember this term because the supersonic sledgehammer is the perfect metaphor for the B-1B in the Pacific. It's not a surgical scalpel. It's not gonna sneak in quietly. It's going to smash the glass door of the Chinese Navy with such brutal force that nothing will be left but shards and splinters. For you to understand the gravity of this move, you need to understand the anatomy of this beast. The B-1B Lancer is not an ordinary plane. It has a maximum takeoff weight of an incredible 216 tons. 216 tons, I said. That's a building made of steel, fuel, and explosives taking off. And the magic of American military engineering is in the variable geometry wings. When it needs to take off heavy, the wings are open at a 15-degree angle, it gains lift. But when it needs to enter enemy territory to kill, the wings retract backward, forming an angle of almost 68 degrees. You guys like that, right? It transforms into a ballistic dart. And that's when the physics of war becomes terrifying. It reaches a speed of Mach 1.25, that's over 1,300 kilometers per hour. Have you ever imagined a 200-ton object traveling at over 1,300 kilometers per hour? I haven't either. But I want you to feel what that means in the real world. When a 200-ton machine breaks the sound barrier flying close to the ocean, it creates such a violent displacement of air, such a massive shockwave, that the very seawater is torn apart. It arrives before the enemy can even understand where the threat came from. Imagine the psychological desperation of the sailors on a Chinese escort ship, hearing the sky explode, knowing that the supersonic sledgehammer is out there. It does this using a system called terrain-following radar. It doesn't fly up high where everyone can see it. It flies low, so low that it hides below the detection horizon of enemy long-range radars. It uses the Earth's own contours or the waves of the sea to mask its approach. But here's the real dose of reality. And pay close attention, because this is the part that changes the war. The B-1B is not a stealth aircraft. It's not stealthy like the B-2 or the F-35. It shows up on radar when it gets close, and the Chinese know this very well. But the Americans don't care. Why? Because it's too fast, and above all, it carries too much ammunition to be stopped. A single B-1B has an internal payload capacity of 34,000 kilograms. 34 tons of pure steel. And to put that into perspective, putting it in real-world terms, that means a single plane drops the equivalent weight of 25 compact cars in pure ammunition. And all at once, right over the enemy's head, 25 cars worth of destruction falling from the sky. It's the absolute king of volume of fire. It has the AN/APQ-164 radar in its nose, which scans the surface of the ocean like a predator's eye hunting prey in the darkness. And what it's about to fire now is where Beijing's nightmare becomes reality. The AGM-158C LRASM missile. Long-range anti-ship missile. That's not just a missile. Calling the LRASM a missile is like calling a supercomputer a calculator. It's an autonomous stealth drone. It's the science of invisibility, applied to naval destruction. It has a range of over 370 kilometers. But why is that exact number so serious? The Chinese Navy and its Type 055 destroyers use long-range anti-aircraft missiles, like the HQ-9, which create a death bubble around the aircraft carrier. This bubble is about 200 to 300 kilometers. If the American bomber stays 370 kilometers away, it's firing from outside the bubble. He launches the missiles, turns around, and heads back to base to drink coffee. Meanwhile, the Chinese Navy tries to deal with the swarm of robots coming their way. And what happens when the missile is launched? In modern warfare, the first target of any power is the enemy's satellite, to cut off the GPS signal. But the brain of the LRASM doesn't care about that. It doesn't rely on GPS. It doesn't need to be joystick controlled by someone in Nevada. It uses pure artificial intelligence and radio frequency sensors to navigate. It communicates with other missiles in the air. It arrives at the location of the Chinese fleet, sees the escort ships, identifies which one is the destroyer, which one is the frigate, ignores the small fish, finds the exact profile of the aircraft carrier, evades and calculates in milliseconds. What is the weakest point of that steel giant? It doesn't hit the ship at random. It aims at the aircraft elevator, it aims at the command center, and when it hits, it delivers a 454 kilogram penetrating fragmentation warhead. It pierces the thick hull of the aircraft carrier first, enters the guts of the ship, and only then does it detonate. A single perfect hit from this missile instantly takes billion-dollar aircraft carriers out of action. It doesn't need to sink them, just take them out of combat. Do you understand? The size of the problem for China? The American strategy doesn't stop there. Military planning officers in Washington have developed a concept called distributed lethality. We got a glimpse of this during the Violent Shield 26 exercise near the Mariana Islands, when a B-2 Spirit stealth bomber fired this same LRASM missile at the training target. The tactic of war is a choreography of extermination. First, the B-2 Spirit stealth bombers come in completely undetectable, like scalpels. They come in and destroy the main early warning radars and the enemy fleet's communication centers, blinding the Chinese Admiralty. Seconds after the Chinese fleet has been blinded, the supersonic sledgehammer goes to work. The B-1Bs come in flying low at Mach 1.25 and open their bomb bays. How many missiles are we talking about? A small squadron of 4 B-1B bombers can fire 96 LRASM missiles simultaneously. 96 missiles with artificial intelligence flying stealthily, attacking from different angles at the same time. It's a saturation attack that no point defense in the world, not even the Chinese short-range defense systems, the so-called CIWS, can completely stop. A single attack saturates and wipes an entire Chinese strike group off the map. And that brings us to Beijing's big dilemma. The absolute breakdown of the Chinese strategy. China has spent the last 2 decades building a doctrine called A2AD that's anti-access and area denial. They filled the mainland coast with batteries of ballistic missiles designed to sink. They lined the mainland coast with ballistic missiles to sink American carriers approaching the South China Sea or Taiwan. They thought that by threatening American ships, they would dominate the region. But they forgot about the Air Force. They forgot about planes that take off from distant bases, like Guam or Australia, or even British bases in Diego Garcia in the Indian Ocean. The B-1B is unpredictable. It can attack from the north of Japan in the morning, or from the south of the Philippines in the afternoon. It doesn't need a port. It's not a slow target on the water. The U.S. Air Force has an approved budget of $738 million to buy 114 of these LRASM missiles for the 2027 fiscal year. Look at the brutal symmetry of this battle. You spend a few $1,000,000 on smart missiles to hit ships that took a decade and cost billions to build. It's like sacrificing a pawn in chess to decapitate the opponent's queen in the first move of the game. If you're following the level of seriousness we're describing here, I want you to type 2 words in the comments right now that perfectly define what the Chinese Navy will face if it tries a military expansion. GG, tactical collapse, because that's exactly what it is. When your best defense is rendered useless by a technology that attacks from where you can't see, your system falls apart. Write it down. Tactical collapse. That's our verdict. Now stop everything and pay attention to what I'm about to tell you. What's at stake now is our territory. The traditional system loves to promote emptiness, superficiality, shallow narratives. But we've built something completely different here. We've formed a community of elite analysts, people who see the real machinery of power. And we've just been nominated for the A-Best Award in the political influencer category. This is our time to show the brute strength we have here. And this, my friends, isn't about vanity. This is a demonstration of strength. It's time to prove to the algorithm and to the market that deep, technical, and objective analysis has a strong army behind it. The official link to vote is here in the description and in the first pinned comment. I'm calling on you now. Stop what you're doing and click the link. Cast your vote and show the strength of our community. And you can vote every day to keep us in the top 10 of the biggest political influencers in Brazil. I'm counting on you now. And there was something very important missing in today's video. We need to remember the human factor. As Colonel Robert Stugel of the United States Air Force, commander of the 7th Bomb Wing, said, "Our real asymmetric advantage is not in the steel and software of the B-1B. It lies in our skilled, innovative, and highly motivated aviators. It's the human minds that take an old design, a legacy of the Cold War, and adapt it to annihilate the technologies of the future. Hardware is just a tool. Strategy is the real weapon. China's Navy has grown. It's huge. It has numbers. But the United States has just proven that they have the great equalizer. The supersonic sledgehammer is ready. The Pacific will never be the same, and the beacon remains lit. And it's exactly about strategy and about adapting old tools for new wars that I want to talk directly to you if you're an entrepreneur or a professional. In the business game, those who don't master communication lose ground. Today, the most valuable currency isn't the dollar, it's attention. Have you noticed how hard it is to get people to consume serious and deep content like what we just discussed? The system rewards emptiness. Dance videos go viral while your work remains invisible. 15 years ago, when I started in radio and TV, I understood an absolute rule. Real authority requires deep content and a solid strategy. And then I created my ecosystem that generates 50 million views every month here on social media. And the most important detail, monetizing all of this in dollars. Many entrepreneurs have elite services, but they haven't understood the scenario. The game now is media. Look at how smart Simon's move was. They tripled their sales because they understood that before selling medicine, they needed to be a media company. Look at the old man from heaven. He understood that to expand his store to every city in Brazil, and now even beyond, he needed to show his face and connect with people. And the reality is harsh, my friends. Your identity can't be outsourced. The owner needs to put himself out there. The time of recording any way you want with your phone and just waiting for customers is over. Today's market demands lethal professionalism. And for you who want to master the algorithm, build real authority, have more profit margin, and reach the best clients, For you who want to break through the bubble and surpass that competitor of yours who does mediocre work, I created a solution. On July 12th, I will hold a fully in-person, face-to-face immersion with me at my studio in Curitiba with my professional team. I will guide and direct you in practice, step by step, so your business can stand out with strength and authority. But I need to be blunt about the numbers. There are only 10 seats. When the 10th spot is taken, and they're running out because the deadline is approaching, the steel door closes, and that's it. You know you need this. You just don't know how to execute it. So I'm gonna teach you. Point your phone at the QR code or use the secure link that's in the video description and in the first pinned comment. Secure your spot now. Strengthen your communication. And for those who don't want to waste any more time looking for a good movie or series to watch on the weekend, without woke culture, without whining, we've created our own channel for series and movies. Link in the description, in the pinned comment, and in the card that will appear on your screen. Look, stop spending hours looking for something to watch, and in the end, it's total garbage. And you get that feeling like, oh man, I can't believe I wasted 1, 2, 3 hours of my day watching a garbage show. We solved this problem, so it's up to you now. Subscribe to the channel, turn on the notification bell, leave a like because it takes work to bring these topics to you. Now, protect your mind. I'm Shimon Oliveira, and I'll see you in the next video. See you then.